I am live. What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you live with a quick live stream today, talking the NFL draft. As you can see from the title, going to be looking at the first two rounds. I'm still working on a mock draft a little bit. Hold on. Charlie, come here. Hey. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I've been working on my mock draft quite a bit this April. I keep saying I want to share my mock draft and, talk about it. I at least, if anything, got the first two rounds taken care of. I'm not going to go through it all in one day. The draft, I believe, starts Thursday. I figured I would split it up into 3 days, do one today. Tomorrow, I think either 3 and 4 or like 3 through 5, and then do 6 and 7 on Wednesday. But we'll see what happens. But for now, I want to share the first two rounds. So sorry, I got someone messaging me. So family member. So anyway, so I am, working on my mock draft still a little bit, but I at least, as you see in the title, again, working on the first two rounds today. I got that taken care of. Let me check the chat. Let's see. Nate Kingston, what's going on? Nate Kingston says, "Hey, Ballard." Well, hey, Nate, how you doing today? So I'm still working. I still got a couple more picks to work on in the third round. But I'm making progress. I'm one to hop around and, so it's so hard for me. I'm not one to just one by one, right? Now, when I do, like, as I'm fixing to pretty soon, sorry, again, got someone sending me messages. But I'm not one to go pick by pick all the way down. When I type it out, I use Word document. I kind of hop around. I kind of look and say, okay, I know this team needs this, but what's their biggest need? Okay, if offensive tackle is their biggest need, they might want to pick it up at the first or second round, depending on when their first pick is. There are some teams that are not picking in the first round, as we know. You look at some teams that have multiple first-round picks: the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Bengals. Actually, they only have, I guess, just the first overall pick. But you got the Raiders, the Dolphins. The Vikings have 22 and 25, it looks like. And, again, some of this is updated, some of it's not. But I normally get my information from the Draft Network. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that website. Great people. I've never talked to them or met them. They don't even know who I am, but I do listen to their podcasts and get insight there. They really know what they're doing and what they're talking about. Go check them out. I can put a link if you want. And it's so cool. I love using their mock draft machine. Here we go. Put the link in here. So if you want to click that, it'll take you to the Draft Network. So anyway, let's see. We got Nate Kingston. We also got the General. It says message retracted. Let me. Here's what you said. So let's see. Nate Kingston, I know it's mock draft week, but can Michigan build a rivalry with Bama? I don't know. No, I don't think they can. I mean, they could, but something would have to happen. Like they'd have to meet up again pretty soon, and something crazy would have to happen in a matchup or whatever. I don't know. But you don't just make a rivalry, I don't think. Anyway, so why not go ahead and get into this again, sharing the first two rounds, I believe is what I put in the title. Let me check something real quick. Yep, I put the first two rounds. So let's go ahead and get into this. A couple of these picks that I will announce. I mean, you're going to hear me say some, and it's like, yep, I knew it. I called it. I mean, because this is just so predictable this year, this draft, right? Now, we've heard the Bengals are taking Joe Burrow, and the Redskins might take Tua, but most likely they're going to take Chase Young, who's the best defensive back this year in the draft, right? Hold on. But again, now I've heard some other news. The Lions might take Tua, or Dolphins might have to trade up. I don't see the Lions drafting quarterback. I get Matt Stafford, all right. I understand that. He's a great talent. But his injury is also questionable, and he's been playing in the pro league. And I've said this multiple times already recently. You look at a player like Tua, right? You have Tua Tagovailoa, who came off the bench, and I'm not going to get into all of it, but you have a guy that came off the bench in overtime, right? Really, the second half of that championship game against Georgia. You have this guy who's a left-handed freshman from Ewa Beach, Hawaii. He hasn't taken a meaningful snap all year, right? You're down 13-0 at the half. You end up winning the game 26-23 in overtime over Georgia, right? And from there, the legend of Tua was born. And listen, we talked about that offseason. It was all controversy. Controversy. I should say that right. Who's going to start, next year for the Tide in 2018? Is it going to be Jalen? Is it Tua? I think Tua should start. We knew from the second he took the field he was going to start. You don't just put him in a game, have him throw a game winner in overtime after taking a 16-yard loss and say, all right, thanks. You're good to go, kid. Yeah. Obviously, he's going to start, right? So he starts that year. The Tide win 14 games, lose 44-16 in the playoffs to Clemson. Embarrassing. I don't know how you get blown out by a team like that. But anyway. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this. The Bengals are on the clock at number 1. They have pretty much the worst record in the NFL last year. I don't remember what it was. 2-14. That's just terrible. That's sad, right? They won 2 games. The Cardinals had the number 1 pick last year, took Kyler Murray, of course. What did they go? 3-13, something like that, right? So And there's a lot of talk. I have seen some mock drafts where they take Chase Young instead of Joe Burrow, right? I have seen that. It would not. I mean, I guess when you look at Chase Young, who's the best player in this draft, you can say whatever you want about Joe Burrow, but I think from a skill player, um, you know, Chase Young's it. Hold on. Again, if let's say they skip on Burrow, right? Let's say they do take Chase Young. From a talent standpoint, and I said this about Tua, talent standpoint, not surprising, but the fact that you skip on a guy like Joe Burrow, I mean, come on, what are you doing? But anyway, getting into my mock draft. Getting into my mock draft here, right? Again, we are doing the first two rounds today. So, with that being said, with the first pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow, quarterback from LSU, a Heisman winner, set touchdown records, passing yardage records. Like, what did he not break at LSU? What records did he not break? Now, obviously, I'm sure you could find a couple maybe, but I mean, this guy, anything that he could have done, he did, and he achieved it greatly. And so again, Joe Burrow to the Bengals at number one. And I've even said this. I've said, what if it's Tua and they take it number one, right? When you look at Tua, from a talent standpoint, it's not a surprise. But from an injury standpoint, you're like, what are you doing? Because there's a risk reward factor in Tua, who, again, as I mentioned, from the moment that play took place on January 8th, it was supposed to be Tua, the number one pick, right? He was supposed to go to the Dolphins at number one. It wasn't supposed to be the Bengals at number one. It was never supposed to be Joe Burrow, but that's just how it is right now. Do the Bengals have to draft Burrow? I've heard McShay and Kiper say you have no choice but to draft Joe Burrow. It's a no-brainer. We are not in that war room. The coaches are. We are not. It's not up to us. It's not up to McShay or Kiper. Now, I'm not trying to convince the Bengals in any way to skip on Burrow, no. But I'm just saying, right? We make mock drafts out to be like this is how it has to be. It's written in stone. Go ahead and put it out. This is what it's supposed to be. Is more so the best option for the team, and I think Joe Burrow is the best option. Now, the risk reward in getting, and I mentioned in two as the injury for Joe Burrow, it's which one are you getting, right? Which one are you getting? Let me explain. Are you going to get the 2018 Burrow, who was not terrible, was not bad? He was average. Your average Joe, no pun intended. Your average quarterback, your everyday, oh yeah, here's a quick, handoff, here's a, quarterback draw for a couple yards, or, oh, at the 1 yard line here, quick, throw to the end zone touchdown. Or are you getting the Joe Burrow that lit the world on fire, scoring 60, 50 points a game last year with the Tigers? Which one are you getting out of Joe Burrow? Because if you're getting the 2018 Joe Burrow, do you look back at 2019 for LSU and say it was all because of Steve Ensminger and Joe Brady instead of Joe Burrow's actually got an arm? Which I'm not throwing him under the bus, don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing him under the bus at all. But there is a risk reward factor. Sorry about that. I dropped my phone. So, with that being said, we move on. And I got, again, I mentioned Joe Burrow, number one, to the Bengals. It's a no-brainer right there. With that being said, the Redskins are on the clock. Now, this is where it gets pretty interesting because I'm hearing news about Ron Rivera. The new head coach there was with the Panthers. Matt Rule came in from Baylor, took over, blah, 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 right? He wants a guy like Tua on his team. That's what I'm hearing. I'm also hearing stuff like he might not. He probably just started a rumor or something. I don't know. Some people are saying Tua could go to the Redskins at 2 or whatever. I think that every mock draft is unique. There are some mock drafts that a lot of picks, not all, because not all picks are going to be the same in every mock draft. Trust me. But there are quite a few picks where it is the same. But you just drafted Dwayne Haskins. Now, I know that wasn't Ron Rivera. That was whoever the head coach was last year. Hold on. Who was that? Jay Gruden. That's who it was, I think. Yeah. And then Bill Callahan, the interim head coach, whatever. So, could they take Tua? They absolutely could. But I think Ron Rivera should work with Dwayne Haskins. You drafted this kid from Ohio State who was in New York, who has a great arm, who doesn't have all the talent in the world around him, right? I mean, their O-line and defense is just abysmal, in my opinion. They need help, right? The Redskins are in a position where are you sure you want to take Tua at number 2? Because you would highly regret not taking him if you go into next season and Dwayne Haskins is just a bust and he's showing it, right? Then you're sitting there and it's like, I can't believe Dwayne Haskins. I can't believe we didn't take Tua. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. Listen, if you see Tua going number 2 to the Redskins, I get it. I understand that. I don't see that. They definitely need help on defense. They need an edge rusher. They need a pass rush scheme and game. So with that being said, Joe Burrow's off the board. And the Redskins are sitting there, everybody but Burrow on the board to them. That being said, with the second overall pick in my 2020 NFL mock draft, the Washington Redskins select Chase Young, defensive edge rusher from Ohio State University. Ohio State, by the way. I mean, what do you say about this guy? Like, he is the defense, right? He could cover like 3 guys at once, if you want to put it like that. I think that you look at guys like Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, and now you got Chase Young. It's tough for me to figure out who exactly of those guys is better. Like, Nick Bosa, I think, is better than Joey Bosa. No disrespect to Joey Bosa. Like, Ohio State recently in recent years has been the edge rush factory. for edge rushers, right? In my opinion, Chase Young is better than both Joey and Nick Bosa. You can correct me. You can tell me why I'm wrong or you want to. That's just what I saw last year. He's faster. I think he's more built. Or maybe he's not more built, but, you know, he's got a little bit more in him, in my opinion. So, moving on. So, Joe Burrow, number 1, Chase Young, number 2. Lions on the clock at 3. Could take Tua. Could take offensive tackle, take a corner in Jeffery Cuda from Ohio State. Maybe they do take a defensive tackle in Derrick Brown or whatever. Matthew Stafford isn't getting any younger. His injury concerns are a big deal. But, man, they need some fire on that defense. I'm going to tell you that right now. Right? I really think they need some firepower on that defense. So, with that being said, with the 3rd pick in my 2020 NFL mock draft, the Detroit Lions select Isaiah Simmons, a linebacker out of Clemson. What a player this guy is, man. 2nd best defensive player in this draft. You can argue with me all you want to. I think so. I think that he is just versatile. He's fast. He's elite. A great run stopper. Great, pass blocker. I just think that it makes sense. I mean, he was really good at Clemson, right? Here he is, a very high prospect. Listen, he's built. He ran a 4.39 40-yard dash and had a 39-inch vertical jump. That's pretty good. Could have been better, probably. All-American at Clemson. And a lot of people expect this guy to go pretty high. A lot of people expect him to go to maybe like the Giants or the Lions. I think he could go number 4 to the Giants. I just have a feeling if you're the Lions, you need some pass rush, you need some defense, you need to get a guy that's going to definitely be a step up than what you've had in the past few years. So Isaiah Simmons, number 3 to the Lions. Giants on the board at number 4. Isaiah Simmons could possibly go to the Giants. The Lions could take someone else. They could take Jeffery Cuda. They could take AJ Epinesa. They could take anyone they want to at number 3. Heck, they could take 2 if they wanted to. I don't see it happening. But with Isaiah Simmons off the board, the Giants can't get that guy. But they definitely need to protect Daniel Jones, who had a great first year last year. Could have had a better record, could have won more games, I'm sure, but I think he overperformed a little bit. I think that fans were too critical of him when he got drafted. I think that I just think that Daniel Jones, people were too harsh on. I was one of the people that and it's not like we were doubting Daniel Jones, but man, you have you have guys like who was on the board? Dwayne Haskins, who they should have taken. I have to double check and look. Let's see. Trace McSorley, although, come on, really? Here we go. Daniel Jones, Will Greer, Jarrett Stidham. I mean, guys, and I know I said Jarrett Stidham, who went to the Patriots on like day 3 or whatever, but I mean, come on. Daniel Jones was not supposed to be a first round pick. I think Giants fans are pretty high on him. I watch Bad Dog Sports. Shout out to you, Bad Dog. I think he's pretty high on him. Yeah, I mean, he's starting to look like a really good pick there and not necessarily a bust. We'll obviously have to see what he does year 2 for the Giants. Because you can't just base it off 1 year, can you? No, you can't. But get this guy some protection, get him some O-line. The O-line's just terrible. So with that being said, and there's a lot of great talent. Andrew Thomas from Georgia, offensive tackle. Makai Becton from Louisville. Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. I can keep going. Jedrick Wills from Alabama, who people think could be the best there is. Lucas Niang from TCU, although I think he's more of a day 2 prospect. Prince Tanga Wanogo from Auburn. I could keep going. No offensive tackles off the board yet. And I think Jedrick Wills is the perfect fit here at number 4 for the Giants. I mean, he is built. He was really fast at his combine. It's amazing. And, no disrespect to anybody whatsoever. But, man, these guys, you think of tackles, you think of guys that are big. They're fat. They're built. They got all that muscle. They weigh so much. 300-pound tackle running really, really fast in like 5 seconds on like a 40-yard dash or 6 seconds, whatever it is. This guy's big. He's built. He's fast. So I think Jedrick Wills to the Giants at number 4 is the perfect pick. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've been waiting for, is it not? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Woo! Let's go. With the 5th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Cole McDonald. I'm kidding. I almost said a name that you would have unsubscribed and called me the biggest moron on the planet. No, but for real, with the 5th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Miami Dolphins select Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback out of Alabama. That's right. You heard it here. Not first and probably not last. It makes sense. You need a quarterback. You were trying to tank for Tua. You picked up Josh Rosen from the Cardinals. I don't even remember what the trade was exactly. But you picked him up and Ryan Fitzpatrick, which those guys are not necessarily bad, but obviously they want Tua. They need Tua. And we've been hearing it ever since. And again, since that championship game, we've been hearing, yeah, most likely it's the Dolphins in 2020. It's the Dolphins or the Raiders or whoever. But the Dolphins taking Tua number 1 overall. The Dolphins. It makes sense at number 5. I've heard news again, as I mentioned, they got to trade up to get him. No, they don't. No, you don't. The Lions are not drafting Tua. They're not drafting Tua. Come on. That being said, we move on. Chargers on the board at 6. They need a quarterback big time. Tua's off the board. Now, this is where it gets interesting because I've also seen news where maybe the Chargers could get Tua. I've also seen where the Dolphins skip on Tua for Justin Herbert, who's the second best quarterback in this draft class, you could say. Very elite, mobile, got a great arm, played at Oregon for 4 years. Was supposed to, I say supposed to, like he had a choice or whatever. I mean, he did have a choice, obviously, but a lot of people predicted him to come out in the 2019 draft. But he stayed for his senior year. So with the sixth pick, the Chargers select Justin Herbert, quarterback out of Oregon, a great arm. You saw, you saw it last year. I mean, listen, was he the best? No, he wasn't the best. He wasn't the worst. But people are really high on this guy. And I would say he is probably the third or fourth best quarterback in this class. Maybe the third best. When you look at it, I think what you'll see as far as the quarterbacks getting drafted is you'll know where they rank in the quarterback class because that's where they're going to go. Fromm was the sixth best quarterback in this class because he was the sixth quarterback taken, So, but I think the Chargers need to get their guy to replace Phillip Rivers, who almost went to the Bucs, but that ended up being Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. And, so I think it makes sense there. So anyway, Chargers take Justin Herbert. Panthers on the board at 7. Could take a linebacker. Could take O-line. They need tackles so bad. They just need some defense, especially on the defensive front. They could take A.J. Epinesa for an edge rusher. They could take Makai Becton and work on the O-line. They could take Christian Fulton, put him in the secondary. They could take Terrell Lewis. They could take whoever. But I think what you will see here, top 10 pick, we've been talking about him for quite a few years, ever since he's been at Auburn, was the 7th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft. The Panthers select Derrick Brown, defensive tackle out of Auburn. I think it makes sense. Best defensive tackle in this class, man. Give him props. Give him credit. All that. I mean, he is great. And, very well built. He's very quick to get up off the ground. I saw him in the Iron Bowl last year. He played well. I saw him in other games as well, too. I mean, as soon as the ball is snapped, he's down on the ground, hands on the ground and everything. Hey, and he's up. He's that fast. He can get through the tackles. And man, is he strong. And he's fast, too. So I think he's the best tackle in this class as far as the defense goes. And I think it makes sense for the Panthers to work on their defensive line. Why not get a guy in Derrick Brown you can use? If you want to have him play in 2020, assuming we get a season, go ahead. Maybe you let him sit for a couple years and maybe just have him on backup duty. Whatever. But I think that makes sense for the Panthers at number 7. Move on to number 8. The Cardinals draft their guy in Kyler Murray. I think you saw that last year. Had a better season. They pick at 8 as opposed to number 1 where they were last year. So some improvement with Cliff Kingsbury entering, I guess, 2020. This year will be year 3 for him. Or year 4. Or not year 4. This will either be year 2 or 3 for Cliff Kingsbury. But either way, he's a young coach, and he's done a pretty decent job so far working with Kyler Murray. So they don't need a quarterback, but, man, they sure do need O-line. So we already got Jedrick Wills off the board, but you got guys like Makai Becton, Tristan Wirfs. I could repeat those guys right there. Makai Becton, Tristan Wirfs, Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas, a lot of people were very high on, was going to be the first guy drafted in the offensive tackle class until Jedrick Wills decided to enter the draft, and he played really, really well at Alabama. So with Andrew Thomas on the board, I think it's a great pick here at number 8 for the Cardinals. So there is that. So with the 8th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle out of Georgia. Well built, a great blocker. He's very fast to get up off the ground and get on those defensive players, those edge rushers, those tackles, those linebackers, whoever. He can move around. He will get up, and if you want to put him on the outside or whatever it is, he will get up and he will move with them. He will go after them, and he will do whatever he has to protect the quarterback. And he'll be a great pick for the Cardinals to protect Kyler Murray going into Kyler Murray's second year in the league. With that being said, Jaguars on the board at number 9. Linebackers in need. I think cornerback, safety, whatever it is a need as well. With the 9th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Jaguars select Kenneth Murray, linebacker out of Oklahoma. Wait a minute. Hold on. A defensive player from Oklahoma? From the Big 12 in the first round? Yeah, absolutely. Kenneth Murray's great. I like what Alex Grinch did with the defense last year at Oklahoma. I think he did a really great job. And, I just think, from what I saw from Kenneth Murray last year, I saw him in a couple games. He's very fast. He's a great blocker. He's very good against the run game, stopping the run, putting pressure on the quarterback. And I think he's going to be a great pick here for the Jaguars. Number 9 overall. So then you move on to the Browns at number 10. Jeffery Cuda to the Browns. I think that corner is a really big need. Take the guy from Ohio State. You could take Christian Fulton. You could take Trayvon Diggs. All these other first-round guys. I feel like Jeffery Cuda is a great interrupter, for the passing game. He will, one-to-one matchups. He's on guys, Hold on one second. My charger's been acting weird. But anyway, so I think Jeff Cuda is a great defensive player. I think that he can really break up passes. He stays on guys. He doesn't quit. He's very fast. Has great agility and speed. And I think he'll be a really great pick for the Browns defense to fill a hole in the secondary. So moving on, the Jets on the board at number 11. They took Quentin Williams last year. Year before that, with their first-round pick, took Sam Darnold. They need some pass rush big time. We already got Chase Young off the board. We got Simmons off the board. We got Derrick Brown off the board. And, of course, just previously, Kenneth Murray. Who's on the board for him? I mean, not a whole lot you want to take in the first round, I don't think. But, I think the best pick here And this guy was supposed to go maybe just a little bit higher until a couple people showed up and said, I'm going to enter the draft. But with the 11th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the New York Jets select A.J. Epinesa, edge rusher from Iowa. Oh, man, he's a great run blocker. Where do you even start? I think that he can get after the running backs. He will stop you in the backfield. He will get after the quarterback. He's fast. He's athletic. Great size, great speed, great talent. That's what you want in an edge rusher, a great blocker. And so I think this is a great pick here. People are high on him. I'm high on him as well. So that's why I'm making this pick at number 11 for the Jets. Raiders on the board for the first time. I think they had 3 first-round picks last year. They took a lot of Clemson players. Number 12 here on the board, Raiders up. And there's a lot of talk about what they need in Las Vegas heading into 2020, as they will have their first season in Las Vegas as the Las Vegas Raiders. I've heard some news. Why not get a quarterback? Right? Why not get a quarterback? They could. They probably should. But man, I think this makes plenty of sense. They need a deep threat wide receiver. Who's still on the board? Every wide receiver is still on the board here. I haven't picked a single receiver until now. And that's why with the 12th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver out of Alabama. Words can't describe how great this player is. Listen, I get you hear Todd McShay and Makai Becton, talk about him all the time, how great he is, right? They have to. But Jerry Jeudy is just fast. He knows where the football is going to be. He goes there. Jumps up in the air to get it. Listen, I can't even, I can't even think of how else I want to describe Jerry Jeudy. I'm going to be honest. But I think it's a really safe pick here for the Raiders. He's still on the board. Somehow he's still on the board, believe it or not. And he can spin well. He'll break tackles. He's fast, all that good stuff. And I think that the Raiders could use a weapon like him on the offense. So that being said, the Colts are on the clock at 13. Andrew Luck is out. And who's the guy that they had to replace him? I'm trying to think of Jacoby Brissett. Yeah, he's gone. Listen, you want to keep him on the roster? Cool. That's awesome. He won't be there for that long. He's not your long-term answer. You need a quarterback here. That's why with the 13th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, Colts select Jordan Love, quarterback out of Utah State. I think it's a great pick. Jordan Love's got a great arm, very accurate, can run the ball well, good decision-making. So I think this is a great pick. They could take Eason. They could take Fromm. They could wait until the second round. I think with Jordan Love on the board, a lot of people are very high on him. I'm high on him as well. So I think it's a good pick for him here. Let me check the chat and catch up on some stuff. The Tino Gods. Who did the Dolphins pick? They picked in this mock draft Tua at number 5. That was their first pick. So thanks for stopping in the stream. Really would appreciate it if you subscribe. If you're new, hit the like as well. Jordan Love goes number 13 to the Colts, quarterback from Utah State. Finally, the Buccaneers are on the clock at 14, ladies and gentlemen. Woo, boy. My Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the clock here. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm excited. I mean, what are you going to say? Oh, well, Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, get him a receiver, get him a weapon. No. Make sure he's not getting killed out there with that terrible O line. It was just terrible. Donovan Smith is gone. Ali Marpet, why is he still there? When's the last time they truly had an upgrade on the offense? Right? They're always drafting. They pick up undrafted receivers. They pick up a running back. Late in the draft on day 3. They need some O line. So with that being said, with the 14th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select and better select Makai Becton, offensive tackle out of Louisville. Man, a Louisville player in the first round, absolutely. Makai Becton is built very well, and he's strong, and he's fast. Oh, man, this guy is good. I want a player like this on the Buccaneers, right? I would like a guy like Andrew Thomas. I would like a guy like Jedrick Wills. I think Jedrick Wills is the first tackle off the board. I have heard some stuff, though. Maybe Makai Becton could go second off the board as far as offensive tackles. I would agree. I think he's that good. He could go ahead of Andrew Thomas. Uh, I I don't know, but I have a gut feeling if he's on the board there at 14, and the Bucs need O-line, why not take him? He's a great talent, built well for a tackle. I think, and he's very fast to get up off the ground, just like that, quick, get his hands on there, and everything like that. So I think it's a good pick for the Buccaneers. Uh, didn't Becton flag the drug test? I don't know. I really don't know. But I think this is a great pick here for the Bucs. Moving on. Broncos on the board at 15. Need a receiver. Need a weapon for Drew Lock, who I guess is doing okay. I mean, he didn't play every game. I think they still have who's the quarterback they had to begin with? Hold on. Someone let me know in the comments, please. Let's see. Well, I guess it is Drew Lock. I thought they had like Joe Flacco last year at some point. It looks like they released him. Yeah, Flacco. Get him a receiver. They need some depth there. I think didn't they lose someone? They lost someone. I think they've got Cortland Sutton, Deshaun Hamilton, Fred Brown. I mean, that's pretty much it right there. Deontay Spencer, Tim Patrick. They're not necessarily elite. I mean, they're decent, but get them a deep threat receiver. Man, get them something. That's why with the 15th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Broncos select Henry Ruggs III from Alabama. Listen, Jalen Waddle's not in this draft. However, people say between him and Henry Ruggs is a faster player. Those are the two fastest guys on the team. He'll catch any ball you throw to him. Now, listen, is he going to drop some? Obviously. But, man, if you want him to catch it and he has the will to catch it, he's going to catch that football. And not only is he going to catch the football, he's going to take it, and he's going to take off and run with it. And he's just going to keep going and keep going and keep going all the way to the end zone. So I think that's a good pick there. Get Drew Lock, a great receiver there to work with next year. And I'll try to speed this up a little bit more. Falcons need secondary big time. Could take a running back as well. Could try to draft a quarterback. I don't think they're that desperate for one, though. But I think with the 16th pick, with the Falcons on the clock here, they're thinking defense. Grant Delpit from LSU is a safety. They need secondary help. Grant Delpit, I think, would be a great guy to have back there. He does a great job breaking up passes, intercepts the ball well, has good concentration and mobility, very aware, good agility, and very versatile player. Cowboys on the clock at 17. Cornerback, not quarterback, okay? We're not throwing Dak Prescott out that fast. Cornerback on the defense. Big need for the the Cowboys here when you look at it. So back-to-back LSU players here, and that's where Christian Fulton comes off the board. Pick 17 to the Cowboys. Tristan Wirfs on the board. Why not get the Dolphins some O-line? Protect Tua. Please, whatever you do, please protect Tua Tagovailoa. Listen, Bama's O-line didn't necessarily suck last year, but they still had a couple young guys on there. O-line's such a big deal. Like, I think it's really undervalued a bit. Draft gurus and experts understand, but man, as fans, let's just be real. We just want to hear about the quarterback, don't we? Right? We just want to hear, oh yeah, quarterback threw that touchdown pass, the quarterback this, the quarterback that. What about the guys protecting the quarterback? If it wasn't for offensive linemen blocking pass rushers, blocking, tackles, your quarterback would be on the ground and probably wouldn't even get up. Just being real. Get to some protection, Dolphins. With your second pick, 18 overall, the Dolphins select Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle out of Iowa. This guy is built really well. He has a good frame. He's built well enough for a tackle. And so, I think it makes sense here. He's, not the best, but you got already four guys off the board in the offensive tackle position. This guy, pretty much the fourth best there is. You got Jedrick Wills off the board, Andrew Thomas, and Makai Becton. And now you got Tristan Wirfs, 18 overall to the Dolphins. Let's see. Raiders in Las Vegas. Why not? Why not do this? You're in a new city. You got a new team. Why not get a new QB? With the 19th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Raiders select Jacob Eason, quarterback from Washington. Very underrated, very highly recruited by Georgia. I don't know how Jake Fromm beat this guy out at Georgia. Why? Did Kirby Smart? Now listen, I'm not taking anything away from Jake Fromm. I'm not. But Jacob Eason has such a great arm, a gunslinger, if you want to call him, right? Now he's not Trevor Lawrence or Tua or anything like that, but he's very athletic, very fast, throws the ball really well, throws a good spiral. I'm still trying to figure out the logic behind benching this guy to put Jake Fromm out on the field. Listen, again, no disrespect to Fromm, but really over Eason, come on. He's on the board. Raiders could take a quarterback. Why not take Jacob Eason? So 20th pick overall now here. Jaguars on the board, on the clock, whatever. They need defense big time. We already got them a linebacker. You look back at pick number 9. Kenneth Murray to them. Right? And again, going back to the previous pick with the Raiders, got to give Judy someone that's going to give him a ball. Jacob Eason to Jerry Judy. That might be a good combination right there. We will see if that does happen. So getting back on track, Jaguars need some defense. Big time. Need some defensive line. Maybe an edge rusher, right? Pretty much got that in the linebacker with Kenneth Murray. They're back on the board at 20. I think they need a tackle. Tackles, you got Derrick Brown off the board. You got, well, I guess that's it as far as defensive tackles. We got offensive tackles quite a bit off the board. But you're on the board at 20. Take a defensive tackle with the 20th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft. The Jaguars select Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle from South Carolina. This guy is built very well. Similar size to Derrick Brown. I think Derrick Brown's a better player, better built just a little bit, but it's fairly close in size. I would say, I think it makes sense. You can put him anywhere on the defense. He'll get through the offensive line and get to your quarterback and just throw him on the ground. He'll stop the run. He'll, I don't want to say break up pass protection because he's up front. He's not in the secondary, but I think he is a good addition to your team. He's almost everything you want in a defensive tackle. So I think it makes sense for the Jaguars to take a guy like Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina here. Anyway, the Eagles on the clock at 21. They need secondary big time. They also could use a wide receiver. They also could use some pass rush, maybe. They got good talent, though. But I feel like there's just some stuff missing on that defense that has kept them back a little bit in some games, that has caused them to lose close games a little bit. You give up a big play or whatever, give up too many points. I don't want to say too many, but you know what I mean. So with the 21st pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Trayvon Diggs, a cornerback out of Alabama. I think it's a good pick. Trayvon Diggs is fast. He is fast. Very aware. Knows where the football is going to be. He'll go up and get it for you. Just trust him to make the play. Move on. Caleb Chase on to the Vikings. They need an edge rusher big time. Why not give them Caleb Chase on at 22? And then Patriots at 23. Could take a quarterback. I don't see it happening. I think they work with Jarrett Stidham, but they do need help on the defensive line. That's why with the 23rd pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, Patriots select Wisconsin edge rusher Zach Bond. Very underrated. Not a lot of people actually know who he is, obviously, but he is a great player, and I think he's built well. Now, he's not Chase Young, right? Don't get it mixed up. He's not Chase Young. He's not Epinesa, right? But he is very versatile and will break up the pass, and he will stop you in the backfield. So watch out. Yeah. Pick 24 here. The Saints need a linebacker. This guy performed very well in the national championship this year. You might remember him being the defensive MVP. He is Patrick Queen. From Louisiana, I think. I'll have to double check. But why not take a guy who was in New Orleans in January and put him in New Orleans? Why not? Very underrated. Prior to that game, no one really knew much of who he was. He's more of a middle linebacker, not so much an inside or outside, more of a middle linebacker. I'm sure you could work with him, really wherever you want to put him as a linebacker. But he was at school for 3 years. Overall, or really as a senior, I was reading something else. I'm sorry about that. But in that game, he had 8 tackles and 2.5 tackles for loss against Clemson. So let's see, 69 regular season tackles, 8 of those for a loss. But I think it would be a good fit there. He has some stuff he can improve on. I think size is a factor, but he is very versatile. He's fast, and as I mentioned, those tackles for loss. If you want to get after a quarterback, take Patrick Queen. So anyway, Vikings on again at 25. Need O-line. Protect Kirk Cousins. Jonah Jackson from Ohio State is a great offensive tackle. We've had quite a few go off the board. Jedrick Wills and Andrew Thomas and Makai Becton, Tristan Wirfs already. Jonah Jackson could be a day 2 guy, maybe late day 1. It is kind of late day 1 right now. Jonah Jackson to the Vikings. Get the Vikings some O-line now. Please protect Kirk Cousins. What are you doing? There's no O-line. All right, maybe there is a little bit, but, but could do better. So I might cut this short and do round 2 some other day because I am getting kind of tired, but we're almost done here. Dolphins on the board again at 26. Why not get to a weapon in the backfield? DeAndre Swift is on the board from Georgia, 5-star running back. Georgia is RBU, by the way. You look at guys like Sonny Michel, who's now with the Patriots, Nick Chubb with the Browns, both having great careers. Both were in that championship game and then the Rose Bowl when Georgia made the run at the playoffs 2 years ago. You look at there was someone else that got drafted last year, I think. I can't think of who it is, but they have had some really good success in the run game. They always like to do the wild dog or whatever. Throw some jet sweeps in there. DeAndre Swift is very fast. I even like the name Swift. Like it sounds like something that you would describe something as fast, swift. Just like that. So I think that would be a good fit there for the Dolphins. Get to a guy in the backfield to work with. Seahawks on the board at 27. Need edge rusher big time. This guy was talked about on game day last year, I think, for a Penn State game. And I say here, with the 27th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Yetur Gross-Matos, Penn State defensive edge rusher. Let's go. Get this guy on the field. Break up those passes. Get after the quarterback. He's got some stuff he can improve on, definitely. Probably could be a little bit faster. Maybe a little bit more awareness, but man, is he strong. He is good. So I think this would be a good fit for Seattle, who really needs some defense, especially up front. So this could be a good addition. Maybe you want to have him sit a couple years, or maybe you want to start him right away. I don't know. But, So with that being said, 28th pick, Ravens on the board here. I'm getting tired. I'm going to be honest, so I'll cut it short after the first round. Then I'll do round 2 a different day. Ravens need a receiver. Well, Jerry Jeudy's off the board, so he's out. Henry Ruggs is off the board. He's out as well. There's been a couple receivers to go off the board. Let's see here. Yeah, literally a couple. I guess Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs went off the board. And listen, I could even see, and I said this in a live stream the other day, I could see T. Higgins going before Henry Ruggs, maybe. It's probably not likely, but T. Higgins is good enough. He could probably go a little higher than where I have him going at 28 to the Ravens. Yes, that's right. I said it. T. Higgins to the Ravens at 28. Give Lamar Jackson the MVP, that is. Give him a weapon. Give him a weapon to throw to because they don't really have anybody, right? I mean, I can double check and look. I don't think they have anybody. I'm not saying they got to draft a wide receiver after wide receiver after wide receiver this year, but man, draft at least one guy you can get. Why not get T. Higgins from Clemson? Why not? I'm going to look real quick at their depth chart. If I'm wrong about this, I'm just going to go ahead and end the stream. Marquise Brown, Chris Moore, Antone Wesley. Don't even know those last two right there. Will Snead the fourth? What? None of these guys are truly elite, really. Now, Marquise Brown, he's questionable as of right now. Got hurt last year. We don't really know what's going to happen with him. He is elite, though. But why not get an extra guy, just get some more depth, get a younger guy like Marquise Brown to work with. That's why T. Higgins makes sense here at 28. Titans on the board at 29. Man, they need some O-line. Man, they need whatever. I think they need defensive tackle big time. I think it got exposed a little bit late in the year in the postseason, gave up a couple big plays here or there, let the quarterback, just do whatever. There wasn't much pressure. So I think with the 29th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Tennessee Titans select Raekwon Davis, Alabama defensive tackle. I could see this. I could see this happening. He's very strong and very athletic, almost like Derrick Brown, but Derrick Brown's a bit taller, but better built, I think, and a little bit faster. But Raekwon Davis, definitely a guy you want on your team. A little, I don't even want to say underrated, but man, he is good, and he has good hands as well. And I remember seeing him and Quentin Williams play side by side against each other, and I mean, it just was incredible to watch. And what he will do, man, he is very fast. He will break through that offensive tackle. He will get up and kind of push off tackles so well and just fall on the quarterback. And I mean, fall, just boom. And he hits hard too. So I think he's a great, a great talent. And I think the Titans can use him. Packers on the board at number 30. Yeah, I'm getting tired. We're almost done here. Come on. Almost done with the first round. Packers on the board. They need a wide receiver. They need O-line. I think the depth at wide receiver is not that great for the Packers. Not to take anything away from the guys they currently have, but man, they could use a guy. So we've had Judy, Ruggs, T. Higgins off the board. Why not give him CeeDee Lamb? And CeeDee Lamb, I think, could go even higher than this. This is just how I view the wide receivers. Someone can tell me why I'm wrong about CeeDee Lamb being a late first-round pick instead of a mid or early first-round pick. Go ahead and chew me out. Tell me why I'm wrong. But I do think that if he's on the board right there, why not pick him up? Because I don't see him falling out of the first round. Well, it's still first round at number 30. So why not pick him up there? So anyway, that being said, he goes to the Packers. 31, the 49ers. Need secondary. We saw a great defensive line in the Super Bowl against Mahomes. I had to make him come back. But I think safety is a big need. Xavier McKinney and Grant Delpit, the two best safeties in this draft class. There are a couple other guys, but I think with Grant Delpit off the board, I think Xavier McKinney considering the fact they need a safety, is the best pick right here. I like it. Very aware, breaks up the passes. He has had some miscues. I think he's let some big plays get away from him. But at the same time, I feel like Kyle Shanahan um, and the 49ers could maybe work with him. I feel like Kyle Shanahan's a great coach, and I think he's got the 49ers where he wants them to be. Obviously, he wanted to win the Super Bowl. He failed to do so, but um, so but he's only been there a couple years, and what he's done there in the few years he's been with the 49ers is just incredible. So I think he would want to pick defense here and work on that secondary. Why not take McKinney at 31? And finally, here at the end of the first round, the Chiefs, the reigning Super Bowl champs. You could say they need O-line or they need a quarterback because Mahomes, sucked in the first half or whatever. But he brought them back, didn't he? Dude brought them back 2 games in a row. 2 games in a row. Right? They need O-line. They need this. They need that. In my opinion, I think they need a cornerback. I kind of thought about A.J. Terrell from Clemson. But then, when you think of a guy like C.J. Henderson, who people are very high on, feels like he's been there way too long at Florida. I mean, I feel like I've been watching this guy for 6 years. It probably has been that long. Is he a 6-year senior or something? Let me know. I don't know. But go ahead and put him in the NFL because that's who I have the Chiefs taking at 32 overall in the draft. Why not put him in your secondary? Breaks up the pass, stays on guys, doesn't quit. He's very fast, got great agility and speed. So anyway, and that concludes the first round of my 2020 mock draft. I will be doing I don't even know if I want to or not, but hopefully I will be able to share the other rounds this week. It's only Monday. Feels like it's the middle of the week. I've had a very long day, but I do appreciate you guys stopping in for this stream. Nate Kingston, the General, the Tino guys, whatever. Appreciate you guys showing up today. That concludes the first round of my 2020 NFL mock draft. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. Really would appreciate it. Be sure to hit the like button as well. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll be sharing more of my mock draft later this week. And that's pretty much it. Thanks so much. And I will see you guys next time. Until then, Ballard Sports Media checking out. Be safe. Have a good one.